Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You all look lovely from up here. Am I looking lovely from down there? Thank you so much. My name is Yvonne Yamala, and I'm a PR and communication strategist at Oracom Group. I'm glad that you all came this evening. We are celebrating the 6th edition of the Digitally Fit Awards. I'm so glad that the CEO introduced you to this event. Welcome, and I hope you feel at home. Just make sure before you leave here, you say hi to at least 50 people. Make sure you leave here with at least 50 contacts that you'll talk with them thereafter. Thank you so much, our chief guests, for being here. I'm going to take you through the next session, which we are going to have a panel discussion. The theme of the event today is Champions of Digital Transformation. Ask yourself, now that we're celebrating Digitally Fit Awards, are you digitally fit? Ask yourself that question loudly. Am I digitally fit? I've heard just a few voices. Can you say it again? Am I digitally fit? Well, the panel here is going to help us answer those questions. You may have thought you are digitally fit, but just wait. We're going to have a panel discussion that is going to explore more about that. Allow me to introduce my first team of panelists. I'm glad that Mr. Peter Mutinda has also arrived. He is the president of Africa-Asia Chamber of Commerce. Kindly to my first panel, if I call you kindly, you just move on the stage. Mr. Andrew Lewala, the CEO of Kenik. A round of applause as he's moving forth. The MD of Tuko is being represented by Ruby, Miss Julia Majale. Then we'll have Mr. Peter Mutinda. We'll have Engineer John Mativo. We'll have Mr. Waithaka Gatumia, the CEO of Centonomy. Round of applause as they're moving forth to the stage. Thank you so much. Now we're going to have a brief panel discussion. To start us off, I'll invite each one of them to give us a brief speech of who they are, what they do, and how they are relating with the digital, with the theme of the event today, Champions of Digital Transformation. It's always ladies first. I will not break the protocol because I'm a lady myself. I'll start with Miss Ruby.
We consider Tuko this year in KDA as the leading digital news website in Kenya. We reach over 30 million people per month on our website and have social media following over 8 million people. We are the heartbeat of Kenya, and so we consider ourselves digitally fit. Thank you.
Good evening, good people. Good evening. My name is Andrew Lewela. I am the Chief Evangelist. at the Kenya Network Information Center. We are in the business of building trust online and helping CEOs, founders, business people, government to get online on the .ke domain. How do you protect your brand? Use .ke. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Waithaka Gatumia is my name, and I serve as CEO at Centonomy. Our mission is to shift mindsets so that purposeful people like yourselves can create wealth and live abundantly. And over the last 5 years, now we have trained people on personal finance and entrepreneurship on every inhabited continent on Earth. We have students across the globe. I think that means we're digitally fit, right? Yeah. Thank you. Use this one.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Mutinda from Asia Africa Chamber of Commerce, where I'm the current president for Kenya and Eastern Africa. I am also a PhD student with a lot of interest in innovative microfinance technologies and their impact or influence on financial inclusion. I'm also a CEO of a microfinance called Richfield Capital, and therefore, being digitally fit, championing digital platforms and migration is very important, because at the Chamber, we talk about networking, we talk about advocacy, and we are looking into Asia and Africa. And therefore, these digital channels, the e-commerce, and all that is very important for us. Fintech at the microfinance level, very important. And now, as a student, looking into, and my research is so much on this. So it's very relevant, and really appreciate the organizers and Oracom. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. John Mativo. I'm the MD and CEO of the Electricity Transmission Company. This is a company that is responsible for both planning, designing, construction, and maintaining the high voltage grid. YKTRACO has ensured that we have a digital fit, where we're digital fit. First is to give people a brand name of who we are, because most people are more familiar with our sister utilities, Kenya Power and KenGen. But secondly, just to be able to give Kenyans and investors hope of what we are doing to improve the high voltage grid in power, to ensure that we have reliable power, to ensure that we have green power in the system, because those are decisions that people make, especially big industries that are being attracted to Kenya, and also the common person in Kenya. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and to you, Miss Ruby. We know Tuko. Everyone knows Tuko. Is there anybody in the house who hasn't interacted with tuko.co.ke? Is there anyone? If there is someone, then you just know you are not digitally fit. In fact, we should not be having that discussion. I don't know if Mr. Mark Danford has interacted with the tuko.co.ke. Have you? Amazing. Good job. Now, Miss Ruby, how has digital storytelling transformed the media landscape at Tuko News? Sure.
Perfect. Thank you. One, I'd like to say thank you so much to know that we have our readers in the house. That means that whatever I tell you guys today about Tuko will resonate deeply with what you've been reading. As you know, Yvonne, Tuko is a fully digital news website. That means that we don't have any radio stations, and we don't have any television or any print. We are fully digital. We have our website, which is tuko.co.ke, and I'm sure most of you know us because of our YouTube page, Tuko's YouTube, where we deal a lot with human interest stories, and our social media platforms. The way digital transformation has affected Tuko is because of how we share our stories. One, the way our audience reads our stories, instead of having to read 1,000 words per every story, we've kept them summarized, entertaining. We make sure that even as we're matching all the journalistic there's journalistic laws in the country and all that, we also ensure that our stories are still, easy to read. If you want information, if you want breaking news, you get it fast. When you hear there's something that's happened in the country, the first place you go to is Tuko, because you know you'll get the facts even as they're happening. We're very fast with that. Yes.
Thank you, Ruby. Mr. Peter Mtinda, being the president of Asia-Africa Chamber of Commerce, Kenya and Eastern Africa, how are the digital platforms fostering international trade between Asia and Africa? Because I want to believe that there is a link between Asia and Africa.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you very much. I think the digital space has fulfilled what we used to say, that the world has become a global village. In that most of what is happening in terms of the networking, in terms of the transactions, the engagement is happening at the digital space. Yeah, you find, for example, we have members, we are here in Kenya, our offices are here, we have members who joined us as members of the Chamber of Commerce from Rwanda, for example, from TZ here, from Uganda, from Ethiopia, just based on what they learned of us on the internet by our digital platforms. We have people who have gotten into transactions from, let's say, like Indonesia. That is one of the recent transactions that I can talk about. People who met through these digital platforms, they have been able to develop trust, engage, do their due diligence, and transactions happen. Yeah? We have had, like we did an event early this year called CEO Conclave, and one of the speakers was from Dodo Pizza, a brand from Russia, but based in the US, running that, in the UK, running all that region. This guy contacted us through our LinkedIn engagement. And he came here, and so much is happening through that. So I would say it is a real game changer. And if anybody is not there, I don't know what is happening. You're gonna be left behind, and these days they are saying anguka nayo. I don't know what will happen to those who be, those are not in that platform. For us, it's a key thing. Yeah, you'll find us paying money to sponsor our ads in FB, on LinkedIn. You find us doing all that. You find us, we are posting things on our Instagram, and it's very intentional and very purposeful. Yeah, I used to work with Barclays Bank, now Absa, and Tuko. They were in the office there, but I think for almost 2 years. Being in the same building, I didn't know where their offices are, but I used to read their documents here. So it really works. We have staff who are not based here. They don't need to come physically to our office to work, but work is going on. We have our offices in Malaysia, specifically Kuala Lumpur, and work is ongoing. Okay. So the importance of this approach, cannot be overemphasized. It's very important. It's pertinent. It's something that we are pushing. When we are talking about chamber, being the first thing being networking, emphasizing on networking. This is where we are pushing our members, and this is where we have had tangible results. Asante.
Thank you, Mr. Peter Mtinda. You've mentioned about a challenge in Facebook. And to you, Mr. Lawela, You are in charge, or you are the chief evangelist. You don't call yourself the chief executive officer. Maybe you'll let us understand why you call yourself the chief evangelist. But the main question is, are you really affected by the Facebook, by the digital space? And if so, how is the domain management crucial in the digital economy in this life that we're living right now?
Thank you. I'll start by your clarification you sought. The reason I brand myself the chief evangelist for .ke is because Kenya is known as the Silicon Savannah. We set the tempo when it comes to the digital transformation. And one aspect of the internet is what we call the domain system. It is really your phone book in the online space. Now, currently, Kenya has about 108,000 domains under management by Kenik. But with a population of close to 48 million, we don't think we are there yet. 8 million SMEs coming online every other year. We are scratching the surface. So I evangelize .ke to get many more people on the .ke domain. Build Kenya, transform Kenya. To your question, I don't think any business in Kenya or elsewhere can be oblivious of the power of social media. You mentioned just Facebook. It's one of many social media actors. So Kenik is not exempt. We pay attention to those conversations happening on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on TikTok, because those are your customers talking to each other, talking about other brands, so you have to pay attention. So we do pay attention. We have our own teams running on all those socials because it is the only effective way to engage. Not with Gen Zs, not with Gen Alphas, but with the entire digital natives. To bring it home, Kenik is really a partner of choice in terms of helping you on this digital journey. And you cannot be digitally fit, in my view, if you're not interacting on the internet. So we help you get an identity on the internet. So it is my second year running, participating in this beautiful event, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You are not going anywhere anytime soon. Point is home. Now, on to you, Mr. Engineer John Mativo. We all know Ketraco. It's a parastatal in Kenya. How is Ketraco in the digital age right now, using the transformation in the digital space to enhance efficiency and transparency in logistics department?
Okay, let me start to address how I use the digital space, and let me talk about two key stakeholders. One is investors who want to put up infrastructure or want to invest in the generation sector in Kenya, whether it's in wind and solar. What Ketraco has gone out is to make the information available within our digital space, so that if you're interested in coming up to put up generation plans, there's information that is regularly available. Then we try to make it as interactive as possible, what time the transmission line is coming on board, what is the capacity. We try to make it on board to help anybody who wants to invest in Kenya to make their life easier to make decisions. The other key stakeholder I look at on their side is various investors. A lot of inquiries in terms of I'm interested in investing in a coal plant, a cement plant, or a hydrogen derivative plant, and require so much power, the data center. So again, we have tried to map out our transmission lines to allow anybody who wants to invest and needs big power in Kenya to have access in terms of information, in terms of where Ketraco is, where Ketraco is going to go, to help people make decision in terms of the investment decision. But in terms of logistics, let me come to your question. Ketraco, everything we do through our e-procurement, so our procurement process is fully digital. We don't do paperwork. It makes things easier for people both inside and outside the country to be able to participate in what we're doing. So we're attracting various age groups, whether it's from AGPO, but also foreign players who don't get access to information, participate in everything we do. So to us, the digital space has opened the footprint that we had in terms of being able to be seen by various people across the world. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer. And to you, Mr. Waithaka. Why Centonomy? Why the digital space? Why are you guys so loud in the digital space? Why is it so important to leverage the digital platforms and talk about finances? Because generally, most people don't like to talk about finances. It's like there is a fear somewhere to talk about finances, but everyone loves finances. How are you going to do, how are you leveraging the digital space to teach people about finances?
Thanks for the question. Who here doesn't like money? You don't like, we like money, don't we, right? And we understand what it means for us in our lives in terms of being able to do the things that we want, to be able to achieve the goals that we have. And so if we are unable to speak about it, then we're not going to be able to grow our wealth. And so if we are going to achieve poverty reduction in Africa, we have to do it a different way. It is about wealth creation. And so our first strategy, and it's been there since the beginning, we've been in business over 15 years, we said we have to get the message out. We used to be on the newspaper, and as soon as social media hit, we were now online, because that's where the people are. And we're having real conversations about money that are helping people to begin to understand, guess what? I'm not the only one dealing with bad debt. I'm not the only one who wonders which investment should I make. I'm not the only one thinking, how do I take my children to school? And so when you begin to have discussions about this in a public forum, which is what the internet is, it really is a public forum, it allows people to say, hey, I think I need to know more about that. And as educators, there's nothing else that we can leverage on other than that kind of information.
Thank you so much. That was very informative. And now, I would love everyone in the space that they are in. There are challenges that everyone is facing, whether you are in digital or traditional or you're not in the digital space. But then, in terms of the digital space, Ruby, Tuko, recently we've seen a lot of other digital platforms. They are coming there. Let me not mention names. Now, what are the major challenges that you guys from Tuko are facing that you feel that even the individuals attending the Digitally Fit Awards Person of the Year edition here could be facing, and how are you navigating to solve that?
Thank you, Yvonne. Well, as we all know about the situation in the country right now, one of our biggest issues, or one of the biggest issues that media is going through is trust. With everything, with AI and content generation, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation happening within the community, and it takes time to build trust, especially as a digital media platform. With our biggest competition when it comes to trust is that we're competing in the industry mostly with organizations that have been in the country for years and years, for over 50 years. We know of media houses that have been in the country for over 50 years. So by the time Tuko was coming into the industry, our biggest issue was trust. Everybody calls us a blog space. But can I surprise you tonight and tell you that Tuko is actually an international digital news website? We are one of 5 in Africa. The first one, we have sister companies in South Africa called News Briefly. We have a sister company in Legit called Legit NG. We have a sister company in South Africa called Yen, and we recently closed a sports company called Sports Briefly. That is to say, we're slowly building on it. One of the biggest issues is of trust, and we're slowly building on it by continuously making sure that our stories are verifiable, making sure that every story that goes, even on our YouTube page, has gone through the steps of verification, so that we are continuously trustworthy. Another issue that we have right now is revenue. Media houses are struggling with revenue, but what Tuko has done is that we have expanded our sources of revenue. currently. So it's not only just our advertising solutions on our website, we also offer advertising solutions also on social media. We've also opened up our WhatsApp channel that has currently reached over 700,000 followers, and it's a space for advertising. So we're continuously looking for new spaces of revenue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruby. And to you, Mr. Peter Mutinda. And now that you are the president of Asia Africa Chamber of Commerce. Asia Africa, those are two continents in one sentence. I would love to know, the crowd here, how can they benefit by your linkage between Africa and Asia?
Thank you very much, Yvonne. You know, it's become an adage now that your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. I can repeat that again and again and again because I have stories, personal stories, and from my interactions with members and many people, how their network has helped them as entrepreneurs. And so, at Asia Africa, what we front to you is availability of networks. Because in the advent of the Internet of Things, and these digital things happening everywhere, trust becomes an issue, okay? So I got you through online, but how do I know who you are? Yeah, I've seen as, I have some people run my socials like TikTok and all that, and Facebook. Then I will find that somebody we've just connected, befriended, and then the next time they are inboxing. Can you send me 100 shillings? Can you send me 1,000? So you're like, what kind of, language is this? Meaning there is a clout there that you need to sieve. And therefore the chamber, most of the time, when you identify as a member of the chamber here, and you're transacting with this gentleman from India, from China, from Malaysia, from everywhere, you have an identity. And therefore, that is what we bring at the table. Identity, because we can verify you here, you become a member, we have ways of getting to know you, and our associate, chamber and offices on the other side can do the same. We provide information as well. Yeah, we'll be able to tell if you tell us, I'm looking into getting into Asia, for example, Kenya is strong in tea and coffee and all that. So where do I begin? Yeah, we provide information on all that, including logistics, and we partner with professionals in that line. We also champion brands that we trust. For example, if Oracom is doing what they do their best, they are doing the websites, they are doing hostings, they're doing all that. We can front you, as a member to the others that these guys, they actually provide these services and they are, they can give you reliable service. Yeah. So your network is your net worth. Talking about advocacy again, we look into those policies, we can be able to lobby where we need to do that for the sake of policies that will better your trade and especially international trade. Please, I think Asia and Africa we are talking about 70% of the world population. You're talking about the consumers, the growing economy in those two continents. And therefore, we say Asia and Africa is the next thing. And everybody knows that. So we help one another in terms of the networking and the connections that you need. And the word is, you need them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you are keen enough, then there are really opportunities within that linkage. So make sure before you leave here, you have a word with him, so you are connected and linked between Africa and Asia. And to you, Engineer John Mativo. Ketrako, Ketrako, Ketrako. Everyone in Kenya knows about Ketrako. Do you have success stories that you would love to share with the crowd here? And if there are, in running in terms of your customer service and all that, what are those success stories? Maybe you could mention just a few that people need to understand well, Ketraco has this success story, and this is how we need to tap into it. Because Ketraco is a big parastatal in Kenya.
Thank you so much. We have had quite a number of success stories. One of them is ensuring that as the grid grows, Kenyans are getting more and more reliable power into the system here. Our growth in the last, since we actually were incorporated maybe 14 years ago, we have managed to grow the grid from almost 200% of where we got it. This enabled, even as the demand increases, the quality of power into the grid has actually improved. I know we still have challenges at distribution level, but we have managed to ensure that things have improved. The amount of energy that Kenyans are consuming is higher than ever before. We have just, maybe the recent success story, we have just built a ring system around Nairobi, so 2 weeks ago. So Nairobi has a ring system that ensures that even if for whatever reason we had to lose part of the ring, Nairobi can still be supplied from different directions. So that's one thing we've done. We have managed to move people on one side of the country, of Nairobi, all the way to Ngong, side of Kimuka. So we're getting all that done. We are reducing the amount of power that is not getting to the consumers. We are bringing more power into grid. So we have quite a lot that we are doing, and people might not, we are now taking it for granted that you can go for a long time without having an outage. I'm not talking about distribution at transmission level, and it's something that was not there before. There's a time monkey could jump on a transformer, we have a national blackout. That I can assure you, we have so many misses, but the grid remains resilient. We are connected to our neighboring countries. We are getting cheaper power from Ethiopia and other areas. We are trying to reduce the losses so that we can reduce the cost of power in the country. So to us, things are only going to get better as we go forward. And I can assure you that the place to invest is in Kenya, because we're going to get good quality power, we're going to get green energy, and Kenya is a place to be for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I've taken a note of, you've promised that in the near future that you're going to have affordable power. Is it a guarantee?
Okay, the cost of power is based on inputs that go into there. Ketraco's, one of the cost of powers that we have that I can play a big role is the losses. Currently, approximately 23%, 24% of power is lost. Either people still, maybe there are many, 23% of people here are still in power, I don't know, but a lot of technical losses. So Ketraco is ensuring that what we can do to reduce technical losses, we are reducing to the bare minimum, because losses are paid for. So at least my part, get that out. Then the second thing is when you have the economics of scale. So when you have more power coming to people and more people buying, the power is going down. So Ketraco is playing its role, but other players also have to play their role to reduce the cost of power. But that's what we're targeting to, and I'm playing my part daily to ensure that power reduces as much as possible, and the quality of power gets better. Thank you.
You so much. And to you, Mr. Andrew Lawela. We are here celebrating the Digitally Fit Awards Person of the Year edition. Here we are honoring, rewarding, and recognizing individuals. Why is there a need for people to get the .co.ke domain, and why is it important for every individual here to get a .me.ke domain?
Fantastic question, Yvonne. Couple of reasons why an individual should get a .me.ke or an entity should get a .co.ke. Top of the list for me, brand protection. So if you're an individual, possibly you're trying to build a brand, tell your story, there's no better place to do it than using your unique name on .ke. And the reason is simple. If you go to the more mature domains, .com, .net, it is unlikely that brand name is available. So there's also the second issue of availability. It is more likely if you are to look for your brand name for a new company, a startup, it's available on .ke. But more importantly, you can protect it from people who might cyber squat. Use your brand name for nefarious reasons or other competing interests. Number 3, there's something called search engine optimization. If you Google the chiefevangelist.ke today, do I come on top on Google, or do I have other competing brand names? We guarantee, and I can say that if you come on .ke compared to our very able competitors, your discoverability will be much enhanced. Fourthly, we are patriots. Yes? What better thing to do for you and your children than to promote your own brand? Nothing against our competition, but anything that our competition can deliver, we can also deliver. So we are now trying to demystify it for Kenyans, that whatever you could get on other domains, we can deliver 100% same security, availability, reliability. So it's a proud moment for you to carry your own Kenyan domain. And finally, it's about digital fitness. You don't want to be left behind. So if you're launching a new product, if you want to launch a new e-commerce site where you want to generate revenue, monetize, do it online, do it on .ke, because you have the support in country. You know where to find me. You know where to find Tuko. But if you invest in an international domain, revenue leaves the country. Customer service will be problematic. Those are the 5 reasons why you should be on .ke. So kindly go to www.kenic.or.ke today, search for your name, protect it, and we will support you all the way. I thank you.
I will add no more. I will add nothing there. Mr. Waithaka, talking about finances, as I mentioned earlier, everyone loves money, but people don't like talking about money. In the digital space right now, we are having AI. People are having AI in everything. It's actually eating into our digital life right now, because you find the videos that we used to create manually, they are now being, the AI is generating videos, doing graphics, everything is done using AI. Are there ways in which Centonomy as a company, or rather you guys, now that you're talking about finances, leveraging the digital space in terms of AI, in terms of teaching people how to do everything to do with money?
So artificial intelligence is something that is very broad. I know most of us think about it with the large language models, the chat GPTs. That's what people begin to think about as artificial intelligence. But if you think about even simply the systems that are already in place, that once you get onto a social media platform, have you ever noticed once you start looking at a certain type of video, you see that same video style over and over again? That's part of the artificial intelligence that's beginning to learn behaviors, that's beginning to teach you various items that are repetitive within your systems. And so what we're trying to do is to make sure that there's sufficient information on all the platforms that can allow for somebody, once they do search a certain term and say, I want to learn how to get out of debt, they're able to find sufficient information to fill those gaps that are in place. Large language models, I know we eventually they'll come into play into this system, but right now there are other areas of artificial intelligence that we are leveraging on to allow as many people as possible to access information, because information is the power that's going to bring the change that we want to have. Yes?
Thank you so much. You've heard it from the horse's mouth. I will not add anything there. At this point, I'll invite my panelists to give us a word or two in terms of champions of digital transformation. We are here celebrating the 6th edition of the Digitally Fit Awards Person of the Year. In the spaces that you guys are running, everyone is having challenges, everyone is having success stories, and we are all here for the sake of life. How are you guys giving the crowd here platforms that are able to help them? I'll start with Engineer John Mativo.
Mine is going to be extremely brief. The world has grown, the world has opened other areas beyond the books and newspapers that used to have to communicate. The digital space, the world has become a small village. And if we lose this opportunity to be able to find ourselves and spread ourselves across the world or across areas of influence, you'll have missed the boat and people will talk about you in the history books. So, being digital fit and being ready is imperative. Otherwise, we'll be finding in museums and talking about you. Personally, Sketrako and myself as MD try to do my best endeavor to go out there and to be seen and celebrate my work and celebrate what the company is doing and to give Kenyans and people around here hope that reliable power, good energy, green energy is coming to you to help you make good decisions in terms of investment. So to me, that's where I'm going, and briefly, those are my parting words. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's the most pertinent question that amongst the many you've asked today. Reason being, how many remember Nokia and what happened to them? How many? At least what happened to Nokia? How about Kodak? You have an idea? What happened? At least I remember watching some clip, and when they were winding down, the CEO from Nokia said, I'm not crying because I made a mistake, or we made a mistake, but because things changed, and we did not change. And that's my word to you today. Things are changing. Cooperate with the change. Between life and death, for some two people cornered in some river or some water somewhere, the guy who knows how to swim cooperates with the water, right? Or flows with the current. Yeah? The digital space, I like when you mentioned AI, because digital migration and AI is like we are almost the next phase, right? In my research, the variables, there is independent variables and there is the dependent variable. My independent variables are, I talked about my PhD about the impact of innovative microfinance technologies on financial inclusion. And I'm talking about M-Pesa, mobile banking. I'm talking about digital channels. I'm talking about AI, yeah? I'm talking about this tech for Bitcoin. What is that technology for Bitcoin? It's called what? Blockchain. I'm talking about blockchain, yeah? And it's amazing, the things that I'm finding in my research. That's why I'm mentioning this. So, as the world changes, please embrace the change, right? Things are going to continue changing. And please remember, as I sign off, there is something called first mover advantage. Yeah? Safaricom came before Airtel. Yeah? But somebody embraced a change before the other. And who knows that? Who knows who did that? Who did that? I'm trying to ensure you're not distracted. I'm here. What happened between Safaricom and Airtel? Safaricom embraced some change before Airtel. And those guys, I don't know whether they got a fatal punch or what, but they have never recovered, including changing name from what to what, and all that. But it's just because somebody changed faster than the other. So there is also time lag. How fast do you embrace these changes that are coming? It's an uncomfortable thing. People have a fear of unknown, yeah? There's always a fear of unknown, but we just have to embrace that. Because everybody here, I know these are entrepreneurs, the most comfortable place is not your friend. Every time you're very comfortable, there is danger in that. Thank you.
So for media, media has changed very fast, and the last 7 years, we've gone through what we call a digital disruption, where the number of newspapers that are sold by one media house moved from 100,000 to 20,000 a day, and everybody started listening and watching news on their phones. What that did is that it even changed how education, journalism education, is being taken up in universities. When you come to a digital media house like Tuko, we're not looking for a photographer. We're not looking just for somebody who can do videography. We need someone who's able to do videography, take that video and turn it into a short reel, understand the algorithms and the systems that Google and Instagram and TikTok have put in place to make sure that those reels are fastly consumed or are being are seen by more people than before. Right now, we're looking for data analysts. We're looking for people who can do copywriting so that when an article is being written for a client, it's not just a story that we're telling. We're telling you the story, but we're also selling the product and making sure that it's still, as I said, verifiable and trustworthy. As we speak right now for Tuko, what we're doing to help the society is that we're currently running a copywriting course on our website. I hope I get to hear, I don't know how many of us are in the communication industry, but I hope I get to meet you later on in the evening and talk about that. It's just a wonderful space. Right now in media, you don't have to be an anchor. You don't have to be a news anchor to make it. The people who are making millions are the likes of Abel Mutua, Lynn Ngugi, the ones who are doing news on YouTube, entertainment on YouTube. They're the ones who are clocking in the millions. So yes, that's how we're supporting. Thank you.
So at the very onset, as part of my wrap-up, I would like to recognize the winners who will be unveiled as champions in their own space, as individuals, as digitally fit. But secondly, around .ke specifically, Africa is known for storytelling. And the internet, all the platforms we're discussing here, are really avenues for us to tell our stories. And the multinationals that have given us these platforms are making millions. The content creators are also creating value. So champions in the room, tell your story. Your business is part of you telling a story, selling and capturing value. So a big thumbs up to all of you. As you tell your story, .ke is there to help you build that credibility. So my commitment as the chief evangelist for .ke at Kenik is we will avail the technology that helps you to tell the story on .ke platform. Nitamaliza kwa Kiswahili. Huu ni wakati wetu tujiunge kama Wakenya kwa ujenzi wa taifa letu. Mmesikia vile nimefanya hapo? Ili tutumie mfumo wa dijitali kwa vizazi vijavyo. Mungu awabariki sana.
How do you follow that? Misinformation is a huge problem online. And if you're going to be digitally fit, you have to know where to get reliable information. And if we're not, as educators, putting out reliable, consistent information that is verifiable, exactly what we're talking about through Tuko as well and other platforms, then people can get lost because the internet is so broad and there are many people trying to use it to benefit from you, not to give you a benefit. And so as Centonomy, we are determined to make sure that we put out quality, verifiable, consistent information that will empower Africans, especially Africans around the world, to generate wealth. So if we are not getting that information out, then we are not digitally fit. So our aim is to get as much verifiable, quality, clear information that is usable by the African that's going to help us to build our wealth. That's our hope at Centonomy, and I hope we're doing that well for you.
Thank you so much. That was very informative. I hope we have all learned and we've tapped into the advantages that they've shared with us. At this point, I'll request my panelists to just walk down, and a round of applause as they move to take their seats.